All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And it's another bright, not technically bright, it's another cloudy morning right here at the Tafawa Balewa Square Cricket Oval. I'm sure a lot of people are quite wondering right now how the weather is, but I can technically tell you that the weather is a bit not friendly, as it's still being a little bit cloudy right here. The game we are about to witness, or are meant to witness, is Middle Belt Tigers against Elephant. And my name is Abayomi. You see, I have with me here Peter. Peter, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Abayomi. It's nice to be here. We actually would love this game to start on time, even though the weather factor has to be considered. But regardless, we still have a game because right now it's not really raining that much, just a little bit of a drizzle. And once that is sorted and rounded up, we do look forward to seeing the game start up immediately.
Difficult to see a game start up, like he said, but quickly let's just run people through what has happened in the past 2 days. 4 games have been played, and that's been so much intense. The game, most especially the game on Saturday, or I beg your pardon, on Sunday, in which Central Eagles won by, no, that was on Saturday actually. Oh, it was a Sunday. A little bit of a mind game there. But you could see on the screen there, Central Eagles winning by just 1 run. That was a very intense game. We thought it was going towards one team or the other team, but there you have what you make of all 6 teams who have played already.
Yeah, every team certainly has put up something significant on the board, especially with Southern Sharks coming back to post the new tournament highest best, so 176, after previously registering only 89 on the board on the match they won against the Northern Lions. And the game the Central Eagles had against the Eastern Elephants, we saw a very spectacular boundary stop by Chima Akachuku, going and flying very high to make sure that ball wasn't going beyond the boundary ropes, and that was what enabled
the leaderboard when it comes to batting. Still topping the table is that man who has just played 1 match but has scored over 83 runs in his kitty with just a strike rate of 136.07 with 150. And just look at him. Only him alone has scored 7 sixes in these games. That particular match we were talking about was the game he was going back-to-back sixes. And who other than that man, Salim Salau?
Yeah, he was on fire in that game, and he was given more than 1 life, getting dropped on 3 different occasions. The first time he was dropped in the inner ring, and the other 2 occasions he was caught at the boundary ropes with the fielders not holding onto the ball and going beyond the boundary ropes with the ball, and adding that was 12 more runs in total. He got caught on the 4th attempt, but after the damage had already been done, Salim Salau had boosted the team's total score, and that was one of the things that helped the team secure that much-needed win on their very first match encounter.
Talking about first match encounter, you can see right there on the screen, 3 players have already registered 50s into their, I beg your pardon, 4 players already. 4 players have already gone half centuries away. Talking about Miracle Akigbe, Ipoli Victor, Isesale Odion, and Salim Salahu. They've ensured that they put up a very huge total, but Salim Salahu still topping the list with a very huge strike rate of 136.07 with that 83. And you know, the interesting part of it is TBS Cricket Ground, most people usually say it is for the batters. In this tournament, would you say for the first round that has gone, do you think the batters have actually proven that they have really done extremely well?
Yeah, on certain occasions, we've seen batters, having just 3 batters put up 3 batters scoring, going beyond the 50-run mark, just tells you just how much effectiveness the bowlers have employed in their techniques, restricting batters from being all explosive. Salim Salau broke that alongside Isesele Odion, who was only able to do that in the match day 2, the second match that the Southern Sharks had against the Western Dolphins.
And now talking about the bowling scorecard there, Udekwe Chiemele, that man that they call the fast bowler from Western Dolphins, leading the charts there with 4 wickets, only played 2 matches, and has an average of 6.33, closely followed by Danladi Isaac, a spinner. Interesting to say that what people don't know, that the strip that was played on the very first day, a lot of people don't know, but actually looked more like a spinner stroke slash medium pace bowler's pitch. So I'm not quite surprised to see both Danladi Isaac and Odion Isesele right there in the top two, and closely followed by that man, the former captain of the national team, the male national team to be precise, Sylvester Okwe. So do you think, Peter, that the spinners will be taking a very closely keen chance of taking the top of the bowling chart before this tournament ends?
Most certainly, we've seen a lot of spinners come in when the team needed the runs to be reduced, and they've come in and executed properly. We've seen the likes of Abdul Gafar, Sylvester Okwe, Danladi Isaac, Isesele, and even Undubudem. They've come in when needed and made sure those runs stayed as low and minimal as possible. Even Suleiman Rusewe had to take the ball for his team when the runs were being hit everywhere, and he made sure that he did his own fair bit for the Middlebelt Tigers, making sure that those runs were not as skyrocketing as they were before he took the ball. So I would say for sure that the spinners have been the most effective bowling area of the team for all sides.
So the interesting part of it is this: the pace bowlers have been really doing extremely well. Let's not take it out of them. They've been really doing extremely well. But it just looks like the batters are beginning to understand how the pace bowlers bowl with the ball. And throughout this tournament, I've seen a lot of pace bowlers trying to bowl with the deck, but not hitting the right line. Sometimes they hit it at the middle. Sometimes they go slightly away outside the off stump. And the interesting part of it is, if you go back to the game on Sunday, where Victor Ipoli went all explosive and so Salim Salau, most of the shots they played were balls slightly pitching outside the off stump line. Do you think the pace bowlers at this point in time need to bowl it a little bit into the third stumps and flying over the bowlers' heads?
Yeah, certainly they really need to do that, because a lot of the times the batters haven't really been hitting the ball back towards the bowler or towards their front side. They've been changing the trajectory of the pace, just slanting their bat and putting it at the right angle and making sure those balls find the gap, and that is what they've been maximizing at many occasions, finding those gaps, turning ones into twos, because they have been able to understand that this ball is coming at an up pace. There is no need to do anything extra and risk losing a wicket.
Sorry for that break. And now this first 2 days have been electrifying, not just with the bats, not just with the ball, but also with the field. We've seen stops being saved. We've seen players putting their bodies into the lines. We've seen players trying to cut off those boundaries. But let's not take it off from the fielding scorecard. And leading the chart is Kenneth Boniface, who has played just 2 matches and taken 4 good catches. Those 4 catches have been in in one particular game. He took 3 catches in one particular game. He took 1 catch. But what do you think? Do you think the fielding is going to play a determining factor in any team winning this tournament?
Very, very much so. In the games that a lot of catches have been dropped, take the Central Eagles, for example, against the Eastern Elephant. Eastern Elephant dropped 5 catches in that game.
Interesting to say, Peter, it was actually 7 catches, because I spoke to their coach and their coach was like, look, we dropped 7 catches, which should have been 7 wickets if they had taken those catches.
On occasions like that, in games like that where we're seeing catches get dropped, they tend to backfire. In the game, the Western Dolphins versus the Middlebelt Tigers. The Middlebelt Tigers dropped 6 catches, and they were lucky. And I wouldn't say lucky. They were able to fight back and pick up that victory. But the runs that the Western Dolphins had put on the board at some point was some sort of trouble for them in terms of chasing. But they were able to come back from that. And I'm not surprised to see Kenneth Boniface stopping that chart. Since right from the under-19s into the national team, is being a very effective fielder, rarely dropping any catch that comes his way. And seeing him get 4 catches, it doesn't come as a surprise at all. It is something, it's an ability that he possesses, and is just displaying it even on a bigger stage.
All right, then talking about the whole game structure completely and all, what do you think is going to stand out in terms of a team winning this tournament? Do you think it's going to be the structure of the team, or do you think it's going to be some players playing exceptionally well for their team, or do you think it's just going to be some strategical planning from both the coaches and the players themselves?
Everybody has to have all hands on deck. That includes the fielding, as we've seen catches being dropped, and and when those kind of scenarios tend to pop up, the batters have extra life, and it's not usually in the way of the fielding side. So we expect to see, for a team to actually want to or go ahead to win this game, they have to have every single aspect of the game in check, and that includes their bowling, their batting, as well as their fielding and tactical awareness.
Talking about tactical awareness, there you have it. As the producer has just shown us, this is the lineup of games still yet to be played. It's going to be a rundown of 3 to 6 days of intense cricket here. And interesting for people not to know, the structure of the league is quite simple, or the tournament basically, it's just quite simple. The best of the best of the best in all leagues. But 80% of these players, I must say, have seen most of them play at their different club levels in Lagos, because they play for the Club Cricket Committee, Lagos Cricket League, and it was really explosive. We had so much runs here. So for those who participated in that tournament, in that league last season, that's the 2025-2026, we see, you know what, it's a replica of all things. But what I'm more concerned about is not just about the players themselves. I'm just more concerned about the technical approach of each players. Now, most of the players are scattered around. During the break, I was privileged to talk to some few players, and they were like, you know what, Yomi, we were trying to put ourselves into the groove of the tournament. It's a completely different tournament. We know ourselves, but we have not played together as a unit. And yesterday, when I was here, after getting off my normal job, I saw a lot of them having so much intense practice, and I asked them, is this how you should be doing? And most of them were like, now they understand what is at stake. Now they know what needs to be done. Do you think, Peter, that with what is currently being structured, this is going to be a way of telling teams that you have this set of players who can be outstanding, and some players need to be worked on?
Yeah, it is called the Nigerian Super League for a reason. It's super in the terms that every team has been given elite players. It's not like a league season, or it's not like a league or the regular leagues where some teams have more player structure and player power than. Now it is being evenly balanced. Everything has good batters as well as good bowlers and fielders. And as such, everyone should understand that everything is at stake in terms of technicality, because it is not just a situation where, you have some batters or some bowlers, or some team have good batters, something. Every team is equally balanced, and the draft was evenly sorted. Every team had a chance of going first in the draft pick, which means every team had a chance at picking a good player in every category.
Having a category. And now let's talk about the officiating. The officiating has been extremely top-notch in this. Maybe because it's just 2 days already. So a lot of people are saying, yes, the officiating has been top-notch. But what would you say about the officiating? Do you think, in your heart of hearts, I know you're also an official yourself, I'm also an umpire, but I'm not going to be biased because I like being on the fence on this one. I'm going to put you on the spot on this one. Do you think, if you're going to rate the officiating generally for this tournament, how would you rate it?
I'm not going to put a specific figure to that, but what I will say for a fact that is that they have been outstanding, given the fact that we do not have a third umpire activity at this point. So it means that the umpires have to always have their eyes at every category and everything in time, including looking out for no balls, oversteppings, as well as run-out opportunities. They've had to have their eyes in contact and placed at that place at every single point, because there is no third umpire to fall back to in terms of decision correction or decision making.
Talking about third umpires, we at the commentary box, we have so much privilege to see everything. So the umpires sometimes, they come to the commentary box and just say, oh, what happened there, what happened there? Just like we have the NSC diary right here at the commentary box right now. But, the good thing about it is, we've been talking about the players, we've been talking about the officials, but there is a particular aspect of cricket that a lot of people tend to shy away from, which are the ground staff. To be honest with you, the covers are there, but people don't know the hard works that this ground staff has put in. Yesterday, I was able to talk to the creators here yesterday, and for free. I'll say this. They said the strip prepared for this week is a batter's paradise because they've realized that the batters have a field time hitting the ball at the middle of the bat, so they want to see more runs. Do you think that the creators here are intentionally trying to create a strip to favor a side, or they're just generally working fine?
Well, both teams always get the opportunity to bat, if that is what you're trying to imply. And we when we watch a game of cricket, we want to see runs on the board. We're not looking at a T20 tournament and expecting to see a team put 100 or 80. We expect to see big runs, and those big runs being chased down to the very last over. So the field is prepared because that is what the fans want to see. The fans want to see runs on the board, and they want to see those runs get chased. And that is what the ground staffs are making sure happens.
That's what the ground staff are making sure happen, and slightly there's still a little bit of a slight shower. That's why the covers are up. The clouds are not still cleared yet, even though from the east, if I'm right, that's from the for those of you who are quite familiar with TBS, from the Aja axis it's clear, but from the Surulere axis, that's towards the entering into the mainland, it's still not clear. So the umpires are still trying to see if we could have a game. And the best case scenario that could possibly happen is from the east. Yes, I was actually correct without even looking at the compass. Geography. Even I did geography in school. But the umpire said the worst case or the best case scenario, if the clouds gets a little bit clear and we can have a little bit of bright light, we will play 5 overs. That's the worst case scenario that can happen. But talking about the game itself, again, we've had a little bit of fans, but I know a lot of fans will be watching this game keenly. What would you tell the fans to expect if we were to have a very huge game?
After match day 1, where it seems like the teams were really in sync with each other, match day 2 was much more interesting. We saw bigger scores on the board this time around. Every team, like you said, already knew what is at stake, and they are going to go all out, which means that we expect to see good strike of the bat, good techniques in the bowling, and as well as safe hands in terms of the fielding aspect. So you expect to see much competitive games going forward. Some teams have lost 2 matches, like the Western Dolphins. They have 3 matches to try and put themselves in the playoff spot. So we do expect to see the Western Dolphins go all out, taking everything out there and make sure they secure those 3 wins to land a playoff spot position.
Talking about the playoff spot position, that's the playing 11 for today's game for Eastern Elephants. And there you have the captain, Taiwo Mohammed, with Dada Toluwalashe, Femi Oresonwo, Ipoli Victor, that man that almost took the game away from the opponent the last time, Jimo Abdurrahman, Karim Ghaffar, Muhammad Ridwanulai, Okeke Izochukwu, Paul Palm, Pius Favor, and Ramon Ali. This man is a sensation. The last man there, Ramon Ali, scored his first century in the just concluded 2025-2026 Club Cricket Committee, and now he has proven himself, even being an opener in the national team. Peter, I know you had the privilege of seeing him, but what do you think about this young lad, Ramon Ali?
He's not afraid to explode. Once he gets the bat, he's not afraid to do that. I remember in the very first game of the Under-19 World Cup qualifiers against Namibia, he scored the fastest 50, going all out from the very first ball. He went on and kept on striking, and he's very compact with that. And in the T20 format, I've seen him to display the bat more often. He's been able to select his shot, but he's not afraid to go big when the need be. On his T20 debut, even for the senior greens, he scored 63 runs before, and not out, that is, in the first game. And so he's a very reliable batter, Ramon Ali. And he's doing that so far. He hasn't really found his rhythm, but so far he's been very good with the bat. And he's proven that he can be very reliable for whatever team he finds himself in.
All right, talking about the middle belt Tigers, there you have the captain, Suleiman Rusewe, Abolari Rashid, Awadele Shino, Egosa Egodo, Ndobem, Okpara Umba Samuel, Orimolade Pelumi, Osagbe, Solomon Chilemania, Ogunaike Fola, and Ogbe Unity. This is a composition of different players, but this team needs to put in a lot of energy, because today most teams felt they could probably have one of the best. But what do you think should be, if you were to be the coach of either sides, what would be your tactical approach for today's game, knowing truly well that the clouds are still not clear?
Going against the Eastern Elephants, the Middle Belt Tigers will need to do more than they did against the Western Dolphins. This same Eastern Elephants lost against the Central Eagles by just one run, playing out all 20 overs, and the Middle Belt Tigers had a little bit of scare before going on to win the game against the Western Dolphins. After the Western Dolphins registered 129, they were able to chase, putting 131 after 18.5 overs. That was almost to the tail end of the game. The Middle Belt Tigers will need to be more active. They dropped 6 catches against Western Dolphins. They cannot afford to do that in this game. And meanwhile, the Eastern Elephants, despite losing that first game, have already shown that they are a formidable foe. They are not just here to be present, they are here to compete. And regardless of the result, I expect both teams to push themselves to the very maximum.
Pushing themselves to the very maximum. The umpires are out, but they're still trying to look at the weather to see if it's clear. So also we have the ground staff as well. I can see Abubakar, who is currently by the boundaries to see how clear the weather is. I think the umpires will be the ones to decide if the game can still hold, but let's not take it out of the game, and let's not take it out of our sponsors, EMR, Dafabet, Ruser, and the Nigerian Cricket Federation. They've ensured that we've had a very good game completely. But Peter, you have not played, you haven't played cricket in Lagos, to be honest. How do you see the pitch compared to that of Abuja?
I've not really had the privilege of playing on this pitch, but so far I see it's actually more of a hard playing surface than the Abuja Cricket Oval. And batters here have that privilege of scoring runs, like, you know, an international standard. When you watch the IPL, for example, or the PSL, you see that those grounds are stationed for the batters and giving them that surface playing area to go big as very frequently as they want to. The Abuja Cricket Oval isn't as such. It is a much balanced green, and as such, there's even tempo and even play between the bowlers and the batters.
All right, Peter, he said it. The Abuja isn't as good. Isn't. I'll use his word. Favorable. That's what I wanted to use. Use your word, favorable, than that of the Lagos. We'll be coming back as we were going to take a quick break while we allow you just reminisce on what we've spoken about. And then when the game comes back, we will tell you what the overs would be, if there's eventually going to be a reduced over, and if we're going to have a play. Thank you very much, and stay tuned.
Play can now resume. We're waiting for the first leg of delivery. Rennet. And properly delivering. And the first run of the bat is to score or boundary in the Nigerian Super League. Beautifully. 2 more balls to end the first over. This time around, it was 2 of the stumps, and Folajimi of extras that they can get, which has been quite limited up until now. This time plays it in the air and out of the inner ring, where there are no field plays, or 7.0. Sylvester Okwe in his 3rd over. Ever giving those bowlers, the batters, balls to play into. In the air it goes, and the catch is in the deep. And now in is Durotoye Gideon of the last ball. "25 runs needed to pick up victory. Goes big. Does he find space? Yes, it does. Plays it high and above. This time there was contact and there was no one in the deep. as was Simon, but that wouldn't be the determining factor. Goes big, and goes big, it does. Overconfidence, and the ball goes in the air backwards. This time it ends up in run chase. Before that wicket, Uzana was picking the moments beautifully. Beautiful catch! But
Brilliant. Brilliant. It can't.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And we are going to have a game as the umpires have predicted, since we have a clear sky. Just information reaching us is going to be 9 overs of cricket. So it means we'll be having 9 overs each side's going to be playing for today's game. Peter, what would you take of the 9 overs?
I expect to see the batters go all out from ball 1 onto the very end, and I expect to see teams keep wicket, because it would not look really, really nice to the teams if in this limited overs they still go all out. And if you look at it, it seems like the likes of Suleiman Rusewe will be coming in here, and you can look at the team who won the toss earlier on, the Eastern Elephants, where they won the toss before the rain factor and decided to go fielding first. The words of the captain, Taiwo Mohammed, he says that the rain might have damped it up a little bit, and so while they send in the team up to the team Middle Belt Tigers to go in and bat first, they will have that advantage, that soil advantage and that moisture advantage on the ground before coming in into bat in the second inning, where it will be much more hardened, and they will want to maximize that chance. So far, it remains to see which one of the two teams we actually enjoy that decision made by the captain of the Eastern Elephants.
By the captain of the Eastern Elephant, like he said. Quickly again, let's just run people through the playing 11 so that they can understand what they are going to be having the foot for both sides. And there you have it again. Eastern Elephants has Taiwo Mohammed, Dadatolu Alashe Femi, Oreson Ipoli, Victor Jima Abdurrahman, Karim Gafar, Mohammed Ridwan Olayi, Okeke Izuchuku, Paul Pam, Pius Favor, and Ramon Ali. And for middle belt, Peter?
Yeah, in the middle belt, it is Rusin Wade Suleiman, the captain of the side, Abolari Abdul Rashid, Awadele Shino Egosa, Undu Budem, Umbat Samuel, Palumi, Ewiri, Solomon Chilimania, Juwon, Olajuwon, and Ogbe Unity.
Ogbe Unity, like you said. And for 9 overs, is going to be an intriguing game because they need to go all explosive. Maybe possibly from the very first start of the ball. That's just a matter of time. And there you have the batters getting ready and all set for themselves. That's a Gosa in the frame. While you have the batting side, they know they need to attack from the very first ball because you have limited runs to put up in. Anything below So the information just reaching us right now is that both sides, I beg your pardon, not both sides actually. The start of the game is going to be by 11:15 a.m. and you can see the field inside there, led by their coach, Gim. Technically, he also happens to be the under-19 captain. Sorry, am I saying captain? Under-19 coach. Oh, maybe because both starts with a C, but there's a difference between the C and A and the C and the O. What would you think as a coach who's vastly experienced like Game will be telling his side? Because you can see the likes of Suleiman Rosa were there having a discussion with his side. What do you think is going to be the tactical approach that they from the fielding side, batting side will be taking into this game?
Well, from from my own perspective, the team also wanted to bowl first before they were sent into bat. And as such, we've seen the likes of Suleiman, who might even come up the batting order, knowing fully well that this is a limited over, and these Eastern Elephants are sides that are also explosive with the bat. So you want to put as many runs as possible on the board, and trust your bowlers to complement whatever the batters have done in the first inning. And right now, I think as the innings will play, what the instruction will be is just not just play safe, but play intelligently and play hard.
Play intelligently and play hard. Those are the two umpires going into the field. Enesi Dairo and Wale Adekoya. Those are the two umpires going in. So it's keep bear in mind it's 9 overs of cricket. People want to ask how many over per bowler. Peter, can you run us through that?
It is still going to be 2 overs per bowler. As the rule goes, once it is more than 5 overs, it is 2 per bowler, and once it is more than 10, it sits at 3. So right now it is 9 and more than 5, but not up to 10. But it is more than 5 though, and not more than 10. So every bowler gets at least 2 overs, with one bowler getting 1 over to bowl. But none gets more than 2 overs or bowling action.
All right, you have the fielding side in as they are about to take to the first ball. The question is who's going to be taking the very first ball to be bowled? No other person than Victor Ipoli, putting on jersey number 25. He is the man who's going to be opening the bowling for the Eastern Elephants. He's going to be bowling from the Court of Appeal end right here at the Tafawa Balewa Square Cricket Oval. At some point in time, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be hearing more of Peter's voice than my voice because he's going to be running us through the commentary. Peter, over to you.
Thank you very much. This is going to be a very spectacular game from very first ball to the 9th. Every error will count for something, as well as every wicket and every run scored. The aim of this game is to minimize the runs and keep it as minimal as possible, which would look like an impossible task for the bowlers. But as long as there's an effectiveness and tight fielding, it is all that will matters.
So interesting for people to know that the power play, because it's a 9 overs, is going to be 2.2 overs, which is going to be the fielding restrictions, which means as at 2.2 overs, the fielding side can only have 2 fielders outside the 30-yard circle. And immediately it is 2.3 overs, they can now expand the field to have a minimum of 5 fielders outside of the 30-yard circle. Sorry, maximum of 5 fielders outside the 30-yard circle. So bear it in mind, 2.2 overs, they would have 2 fielders outside the 30-yard circle, and after 2.3 overs, they can have the maximum of 5 fielders outside the 30-yard circle. Victor Ipoli, I don't think he's the one bowling. I think it's going to be the captain, Taiwo Mohammed. Yeah, it's Taiwo Mohammed who's actually going to be opening the bowling. It looks quite funny.
Yeah, no, I'm not even surprised because in the previous game, he opened the bowling. What I'm surprised is seeing Suleiman Rusenwe come up the batting order and deciding to go in first. On like the previous game against the Western Dolphins, where they decided to come in at 4. This is a desperate time, and they want to send in their top order. This is not a time where you look to preserve wickets. Now, this is the time where you want to go all out and make sure you register every single run that you can get on the board. And it seems like we are going to have a start right away. Briefly edged beyond the reach of the keeper as it will race all the way to the boundary. Middlebelt Tigers do get the assignment and have started off with a lovely 4. Just had his bat in the way of the ball as that ball wasn't going to be stopped by the wicketkeeper at any point in time. You look at that replay again, beautifully played by Suleiman Rusewi beyond the reach of the keeper as it will race all the way to the boundary beyond reach. Of 4 runs to start. The bowling side are already on the edge. Flicks it to the leg, and it is enough to take him off of strike. That's 5 run off 2 balls. Already they have 1 win, the Middlebelt Tigers. It is the Eastern Elephants who are very tensed and hungry for a very fair victory, as any more losses will put their chances of qualifying for the knockout stage, the playoff round, on the edge, which they cannot afford to. Couldn't hold on to that ball, Taiwo Mohammed, as that gave the Tigers a chance for a single when Suleiman Rusewi is on strike almost as soon as he is left. It is a fast-paced game. Put it way out of reach. And they've gone, they're not sitting at 0 runs with that freebie from Taiwo Mohammed, the skipper. Earlier on I said every extra counts, as well as every boundary and every wicket. One of those 3 is still yet to be given. Waited beautifully for that ball and slashed it into the gap. It is 4 more runs for the Tigers, and Suleiman Rusewi, playing off the back foot, anticipated that ball before the release and played it in the intended region, into the gap, all the way into the covers region, and it's 4 beautiful runs. Tigers already looking to understand their assignment, and of that replay, waited beautifully for that ball into the popping and slashed it into the gap. It is 4 more runs for the Tigers, and energy at the right time. 2 more balls, but already into double figures, and we're still in the first over of play. No wickets yet. On the foot, the call is loud, and the finger goes up. On the leg stump it was, and the umpire saw that clear as day. 11 runs already, but it comes at a cost. And here is the captain who walks back with the Middlebelt Tiger, now finally tasting a piece of pressure at the right time. 2 more balls, but already double with the redemption. Swinging in the air. On the foot, the call is loud, and the finger ball at the right time. Wanted to flick it to the leg side, but his bat wasn't in the right place, and he's had to go out for Agosa, a batter we are very familiar with at playing those kind of shots. He loves flicking his balls to the leg side, and he had to come in the top order. Last time he came in at number 5. Today he's coming in at number 3. The assignment is understood by the Tigers. They know that from the very first ball, it is all-out attack. This isn't a game of chess. This is a game of cricket. And you have to hit from the very first ball to the last. No time for selection of shots. Just register as many runs as you can on the board. The higher the runs, the easier and the ease of tension it produces to the fielding side. Coming into the second inning. First wicket taken, and we're still in the first over. Agusa has taken a stance as we look to bowl the final ball of the first over. Taiwo coming from his favorite over the wicket. And it is the first dot after that wicket, the first proper dot in the first over. 11 runs is what they were able to register on the board at the right time. Of those runs. 2 more balls, but already into double figures. To go out with that beautiful swing in the air. And the leg stump, which the umpire confirms was going, and the finger dislodged regardless of contact. 11, it sits at 1 wicket as the first over is completed. It seems like they will take the pace off the ball almost immediately and send Abdul Karim Gafar to come from the pavilion end. A smart decision, I would say, as spin bowlers haven't really been played that much on Abdul Karim Gafar. He's been one of the best bowlers for the Elephants. Karim Gafar, the only bowler that wasn't played for a maximum in their first encounter against the Central Eagles. And now they need him to not just come and do what with the ball, but to also perform. Early on, Chilemaya still on 100% strike rate, 2 runs off 2. He gets himself all strike, and Egosa with the chance to finally register a run on the board for himself. A run of the first of the second over at 12 it is, and we are this close to seeing the power play come to an end, which means that there will be an expanded field setting by the Elephants. Right now, Egosa on strike going up against a spinner. The only 2 outfielders as he sits right now is the deep mid wicket and the long on. A lot of space in behind as there is no fielder on fine leg. There is no fielder on fine leg. And if there's anyone who loves to take advantage of that open space, it is Egosa. We need to keep those balls on the offside. He's doing just that with that late turn. Egosa would have taken advantage of that if that ball had come to his region. Abdulkarim Gafar being the smart player. There is no fielder on fine leg on the offside as very often as possible to avoid getting or giving out any runs on that exposed leg side, as there is no fine leg as it sits. Square court intended, but no contact. The Tigers will be missing the wicket of Suleiman Rutewe, who probably would have registered more runs on the board, but the runs have seemed to slow down since his wicket was dislodged. Outside off and into the gap, beautifully played. Would that ball race it to the boundary? Yes, it does. Egosa finally registers himself. What a beautiful fall. Anticipated that ball, waited and converted. But beyond the boundary ropes, it goes since his wicket was dislodged. Outside. Now sitting at 100% strike rate. Would that ball race it to the boundary? Yes, it does. Egosa sending in 4-4. Play straight. There is a fielder in the deep as they register. One more run on the board. He's gone off strike. Suleiman Chimaya, who is old Chilemani, who's only faced 2 balls so far, he's on strike. Abdul Karim Gafar has done his own fair share, keeping the runs mediated, giving out only 6 runs so far, with 2 dots. He's gotten Chilemaya for the last ball, and he plays it into the gap as well. Finds that gap and builds that run perfectly. It is 4 more runs, and it is 21 as it looks. 1 wicket is what is taking, but it seems like the Tigers are not really missing, as Chilemaya and Egosa look to have stepped up in this runs projection.
Talking about the run projection, so yes, we've seen how attacking. Just look at that shot again from Chilemaya. Triggered down the line. He knew he was going to bowl it outside the off-stump line, and all he needed to do was just hit it straight over the covers region to ensure that he has a boundary into his kitty, and that way is what you want to see Chilemaya do all the time, as it's 21 for 1 after 2.0 overs.
Oh, couldn't stop that, and that is 4 more runs for the Tigers. Eagles are taking advantage of that field placement, like I said they would. There wasn't a fine leg, and they exploited that open field space. And added 4 more runs to the Middlebelt Tigers. Keep the balls on the offside for Eagles are hard. We feel that in that region, and they failed to do that, and just punish them for it. Is there a correction being done? Yes, it is, as a field that had been placed at this time. But the bowler, we need to do better. Equally Victor, the man who always took the team across the finish line the last time, giving the ball pretty early. Same region, same punishment. This time it is towards the deep square, and it is 4 more runs. Back-to-back boundaries. 3 boundaries in a row of the last 3 balls for the Tigers, and the runs are skyrocketing as it sits. Oh, couldn't stop that, and that is 4 more runs almost took for the Tigers. Finish line, the man who always took the team across the finish line the last time, giving the ball pretty early. Same region, same punishment. This time it is towards the deep square. Was already on the leg, and it goes out. Who lost? Nothing more. But to feast off that leg side was given a beautiful meal. On the off this time, beautifully bowled, and in the gloves of the wicket keeper, he sets the first dot of this over. The first dot for Equally Victor. Better correction, better line. As much as he likes the leg side of Gosa, he's still very efficient on the off. He just needs to see that ball and get comfortable. Equally Victor, an intelligent bowler. Cuts into the gap, but there is a fielder in the inner ring who meets that ball and combats it. Chilimaya now will be facing the first ball of Chilimaya Solomon. Will be starting off after the power play as the umpire signals the end of the power play due to the reduced overs. And now the field can expand, which they've decided not to yet, and see how this over will play out. They didn't make contact, but certainly there was a chance for a run in the gap, and they take advantage of it this time. There are 3 fielders outside. No scratch that, make that 5. They decided to finally open the field. This time employing a deep mid-wicket, long on and long off to pair up with the extra covers and third man that were previously being used before the power play was rounded up. Flicks it, but there's a fielder in the deep. Calls for 2, he does. And 2 runs, they complete. Good way to end over. The third over comes to an end, and they currently sit at 33 runs. For just 1 wicket lost, they haven't really felt that wicket of the captain, Suleiman Rusewi, as both batters are doing beautifully. Strike rate sits at 11 with a projected score at 99. At this rate, there will be a lot of work for the Elephants to do in the second inning, but right now, they're off to a good start. That is the Tigers. We've seen another bowler come in. It is the 4th consecutive over that we've seen a bowler come in and change. Remember, this is a reduced over format, which means that no bowler can get more than 2 overs. And so Jimo, he's coming in for the 4th over, his first over, by the way, coming from the pavilion end. Mind you, at least 5 bowlers will be used in this match. 5 bowlers will be given the ball to bowl. And this is the 4th one to take the ball today, Abdul Rahman Jimon. Driven off the front foot, but there is a long off, and they will settle for 1. Jimo, who was bowling very beautifully. The only bowler that didn't get played for a maximum by Salim Salah, Ian Adu Karim Gafar. In the previous match, until Prosper Hosseini came in, and they would like to do better, as this is the most crucial time for the team. On the leg side, it is Enegosa's favorite region, and it deals with it amicably. That late swing up the ball, swinging towards the leg side, and Negosa punishes it. It is another boundary. Every over has seen at least one boundary given. This is the most crucial time for the team. On the leg side, it is Negosa's favorite region, and that decision and that loose delivery has seen Egosa pounce on that loose ball into the empty field. Plays into the air as that ball ends in the glove of the wicketkeeper. No run off that ball. The first dot for Jimo in this over. On that loose ball into the empty field. Entering outside of Jimo. Plays into the air as that ball ends in the previous ball was with a swing as well, but he was on the stumps going outside of leg after being bowled on a shot on good length. 3 more balls as the fourth over will be ending, but it is the Middlebelt Tigers who are flying high. On the leg side again, and this time it is no contact, but it is surely one more run as an extra is being flagged. The umpire spreads his wings, signaling that will add to the board. Still 3 more ball runs it sits at. 3 more balls it sits at, and already on 39. The run rate is still sitting on 11, haven't dropped since the third over. Wide signal by the umpire. It was clear as day outside of the wide marker, and the umpire saw it now already in 40, and it's not even the end of the 40th over. He plays on like this. The projected run sits at 103. And they have a very efficient bowling side, that is the Middlebelt Tigers. The Elephants cannot afford to lose another game, as one more loss will see them miss out probably on a playoff spot. Another wide, and they will take advantage of that loose delivery. Settle for 2, take 2 runs off that. Keeper couldn't stop it, and the fielder wouldn't do a very quick pickup, and that puts the runs at 43 as it stands of that loose delivery. Still on 3 balls. 3 balls have been bowled in the last 3 balls. No 3 have been extras, with 5 runs being birthed off those loose balls. Jimo still has 3 more balls to bowl. Tension starting to eat in as everyone that adds to the board without a wicket fall. You understand that this is an advantage to the batter. The longer they keep this wicket on the leg side, but it doesn't go into the region you expect, as there was a deep mid wicket, but it is a chance for 2, and they will take that 45. They sit at 2 more balls. Egosa will stay on strike already in 20. Egosa, man of the match for the Tigers in the first game. With the ball and with the bat, with the first game registering 33 runs. And now he's already on 22, 11 shy. And regardless of whatever score he had in the first game, this is the game where they need his contributions to the bat, sending him top at the higher order. It's paying off. Suleiman Chimaya, you have to get into double figures, but he's contributing by running between the stumps when necessary, even calling runs, getting himself off strike as soon as possible, and making sure that the board is sticking. Straight, driven to the long on. They take 1, and Chilemaya calls for 2 as they add that 47. Applause from the stands of the Tigers. The runs are taken. Mind you, they still tougher opponents to play. Every team, mind you, is tough. But the Southern Sharks currently pose the best, highest team total, 176 is what they registered. And the Eastern Elephants, we need to win this and also have a chance at winning that if you want to go for that. But right now, we will have to wait for that last ball a little bit longer, as another wide by Jimo is signaled by the umpire. He cannot believe this, neither can the team. Tension eating in, the field is already set to combat every loose delivery. The only time Jimo has given out a boundary was the ball swinging to the leg side, which Egosa escorted with the bat. Leg side again, but only one run, leg by. 49 on the board. Finally, we come to the end of the fourth over. 10 balls were bowled. 6 legal deliveries and 4 extras. But finally, the fourth over comes to an end, but the runs now sit at 49, with a current run rate of 12.5, and the projected score has shot up a little higher, sitting at 110. The fifth over, he's going to put the team in a long talk, has taken out effort to give out more runs, and remains to see who will be coming to take the ball this time. And to no surprise, it will be Ridwan Mohammed coming to take the ball for the Eastern Elephants. Ridwan bowling in the previous game against the Eastern Eagles, bowling 3 overs and giving out 21 runs, has not yet picked a wicket. If there's any time he needs to pick the wicket, it will be in this crucial encounter. Mind you, the Tigers already have 1 win, but 2 wins in a row wouldn't hurt, as the more desperate team is the Eastern Elephants, and they will need to show it. Spin bowler being employed, the field is open. Karim Gaffer still has 1 more over, mind you. One of the 5 bowlers today might not get to second over of bowling, as it is 9 overs reduced to, which means that only 4 bowlers will get 2 overs and 1 will settle for 1. Cuts it, and the fielder gives a chase. He will pick the ball, and they will settle for 1. Chase it all the way to the boundary ropes. Victor Ikoli has gotten an over to bowl himself and is complimenting his bowler, making sure that no loose runs. The runs are already sitting high, and the middle belt Tigers can still register more. Comes across, doesn't make real contact. And start ball is dotted. Contact. We'll have seen that ball go all the way into the deep and probably into the open space between the deep mid wicket and the long on. Would have been a boundary, I do not know, or a catch, but I do know that it would have been an infield shot if that was contact. Same approach. Oh my God. Oh my God. Isu Bonaventure, the fielder in that deep, ball played straight down to him. And that fielding error has gifted not 1 run, but 4 to the Tigers and put Solomon in double figures. Same approach. Was already in front of the ball. How did you let that ball pass? Izu. Oh my God. Giving out at least a boundary in every over, has stretched into 5 consecutive overs. In the air and in the gap, like I predicted. Is there a catch? There is a catch, and there wasn't a stop either. Huge attempt, but it's back-to-back boundary. Solomon Chilimaya started off slowly, but it's been explosive. Shuffles out 3 times in a row, and 2 of those times has made contact, proper contact. And that gap between the mid-wicket, deep mid-wicket, and the long off exploited, as neither could make a stop at that boundary ropes. Open or close fielding, the Tigers have consistently found the boundary in every over. Has lost his wicket, Chilemaya shuffles out for the 4th time and pays the price. Already able to register 15 of 8 balls. consistently found the boundary in that replay in every over. This time took that ball and took the tone outside of off, missing that slant approach of the bat. And Chilemaya will walk back to the stands, and Oba Samuel will take up the mantle. The baton has been passed down to Omba Okwara Samuel. Just 2 wickets taken, and we are almost into the last 4 overs of the game, of the inning, my corrections. A lot of wickets at hand, and there will be a chance for an explosive play, which the Elephants will look to mediate. Already the last ball for the over. Cuts it beautifully, but doesn't play into the gap. The bowler misses that chance, and Negosa, who had called for one earlier on, calls for the second. A lot of fielding errors have been committed by the fielding side. 2 boundaries have been gifted as they could not be stopped. And now an extra run was also gifted. A lot of late reactions by the fielders as seen the batters capitalize on every extra chance. 60 is sit-sat after 5 overs, and only 2 wickets have been dislodged. Egosa still in the popping crease. Off the back foot and into the gap as they will settle for 1. And Agosa is on strike. Okwara and Samuel only put up 1 run in the last game, the previous game against the Western Dolphins. Already has doubled that in this match. Abdul Karim gets the ball. It's coming from the pavilion and the end. He started this inning, driven straight down at the fielders. Wants to call for a second, but Abdul Karim Gafar is the fielder. The bowler chases that ball down and prevents any extra chance from being birthed. No other run to come off. Adegosa is back on strike almost immediately as he's left. Slower ball and driven straight down to the long off. They will need to stop any chances that will look to come out for the Tigers. The bowlers and the fielders will also need to be more uptight and react quickly if they want to keep these runs within chaseable distance. Ali Ramon wanted that wicket. Felt the batter had stepped out of his popping crease, which the umpire disagrees with. All my corrections, the umpire does agree. Couldn't keep his cool. And for the second consecutive game, Okwara Umba will go out to be more uptight and react quickly if they want to keep these runs within chaseable distance. Lost his footing, and Ali Ramon very quick to react, taking off those bills as very quickly as possible. And now Undubudim is coming in at the. There's been much rotation in the batting order for the Tigers. Undubudim, who didn't have a very good game in the last encounter, is coming up in much higher in this batting order, coming in at number 5. Two positions higher than he did in the last game. Went out for a golden duck. And will look to make impressions on that. Takes his guard. It has been called. The field has been adjusted for the left-hander. Comes through, but wasn't properly dealt with as they will settle for one. And Egosa still in the batting crease. Egosa coming in at number 6. The last game staying all the way till the end, coming in the 9th, put 1 over, going to the end. Goes big. Is that a maximum? Yes, it is the very maximum. And for the 6th consecutive over, a boundary has been birthed. Every over has seen a boundary come off, and this time it is the first maximum of the day, pushing the runs 270 after a slow start. All the way 6 overs completed, coming in 70 4-3. With a further ball goes big. Off the first bounce, maximum. Full stretch. Yes, it is the very maximum. And for the 6th, not slowing down, Egosa going all out. Egosa adding 6 more runs for the Tigers. And that puts him at 34 as it stands. 1 better than his previous score yesterday. My corrections, on Saturday. Mohamed Ridwan will be giving the ball for the 2nd time. Already picked up a wicket for himself. Giving out just 11 runs in the process. They want to stick with spin. And Mohamed Ridwan is the first option of call. Bold shot. Give them a chance. Will they go for 2? Yes, they call. Who calls it? It is Egosa being the leader. Big dive by Mudubim. Egosa makes the call. Mudubim takes that chance and successfully crosses the crease line and registers 2 more runs. Short ball by Ridwan. Gosa would have dealt with that ball, having been the one on the non-striker's end. But Mudubim is the one currently facing and is with the chance of scoring more runs. Plays off the back foot and doesn't get anything behind it as that late reaction sees that ball getting dotted. Already we are into the last 3 overs of the first inning due to the weather and having us to see a reduced over of the first reduced over. Mind you, like I said, there is a first time for everything, and today marks another record as for the first time in the Nigerian Super League, this match will be recorded as the first match to play with a reduced overs. Bowling shot. And quickly, Egosa is on strike. 2 more balls to continue on the boundary streak. Already 6 overs have seen at least 1 boundary, with Egosa getting a boundary of the last ball of that 6th over. 2 more balls, and that streak could go on. Couldn't get the right amount of contact behind that ball as that ball is dotted. 1 more ball. Only 3 runs given so far. 3 dots. It goes on strike. Ridwan Mohammed A chance to end this on a good note and see the runs as low as possible. The lowest run scored in an over in this inning by the Tigers. 3 runs only added to the board, 3 wickets lost, 7 overs completed, and 2 more overs before the second inning starts.
The strategy at which the Tigers are going is to keep hitting the boundaries. They're currently going at 10.43 per over, so they need to still keep this momentum high to put up much pressure on the fielding side, where anything above 80 or 90 is going to be defendable in the second innings. But anything below this particular target now might be a little bit of a struggle, doing truly well that the fielding has a very good batting lineup, so they know they need to attack. But let's not take it off away from Augusta Destiny, who has 34 runs off 21 balls. He has shouldered the team for this innings.
Izu Bonaventure will be given the 8th over to bowl for the Elephants. The 6th bowler they will be using today. And the person on strike is Undubudem. Puts it outside of off, and the fielder will give it a chase. Does he get to stop it? Yes, he does. And Undubudem is on strike again after completing 2 runs between the stumps. Beautifully played, but beautiful field placement as Abdul Karim Gafar didn't give out too many runs with the ball. And this time, he's making sure that the runs stay as low as possible. Already, the lowest run they scored in an over was 3, courtesy of Mohamed Ridwan. And they will look to keep it even lower. Played straight down, but decision to keep Abdul Karim Gafar at the extra covers, backing up for those gaps between the points. And cover, expanded field. A right-hander batter is in place now, and the field is in rotation. Deep square leg now in play. A short fine leg is being deployed. Long on, long off. Extra covers. Third man at the field setting as it stands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Currently, they have 6 fielders outside, and they are correcting that by bringing a third man into the inner ring, maintaining that open field in the front end of the field settings, making sure all those fielders behind the batters are in the inner ring. So Izu has to bowl to the field. Comes out. Is that a catch? No, it is not. Another catch getting dropped at the boundary ropes. Not doing a good job at taking those catch opportunities. Comes out. Is that a catch? No, it is not. The ball was easy for the taking. Another catch getting dropped at the boundary ropes, and he fumbled it. They've had to pay for this on countless occasions, dropping Salim Salau 3 times in the first match, and he went on to score 83 before getting caught by the third man. And this time they've given Egosa a second life, and Neil will use that to his advantage. That ball doesn't race to the boundary, does it? No, it doesn't. But what he does is give them a chance for 2 runs, and for the 4th consecutive balls, runs are being scored. It is 2-1, 2-2 of the first 4 deliveries. 7 runs in this over. 80 is on the board. Projected score set at 94. 1.2 more overs to be played. With still 7 wickets at hand, it is going to be very explosive. Wide signal by the umpire. Undubudem calls for a single. They are taking every advantage. This should be a very tough match. It is looking like a tough match, except for the fact that the Elephants are making it easier, giving out runs to the Middlebelt Tigers. So far, since the start of the inning, there has been 10 extras with 9 wides and 1 leg by. Flicks it to the leg side, Undubudem an advantage off his left hand batting. And the last ball of the over sees Egosa come on strike. No over, no boundary scored yet. Six consecutive overs saw boundaries being conceded up until with one's final over where he only gave out 3 runs and no boundaries. And now, with some wicket at hand and 7 balls to play, the Mumbai Tigers have nothing to lose and everything to go all out for. Plays it, is this a catch? No, 1 bounce to Victor Ekpoli. And Egosa, who takes himself off strike, will start the final over of this first inning on strike. Second 8 over comes to a conclusion, 84 for 3.
Augusta Destiny has been so explosive right from the first ball to this very moment. He might be looking to get one of the fastest 50 in this tournament, even within the shortest period of overs. He has been explosive from the very first ball and ensuring that he gets at least 6 runs to his credit in every single over that he has faced. And he'll be ensuring that probably he takes his side to around 100. But it will be interesting to say, if the team is 100 within 9 overs, what would have happened if they were on 20 overs? Maybe they will be looking at 300, 400. Last over of the game to be bowled by the captain, Taiwo Mohammed. He's going to be bowling from the Court of Appeal end.
Started the inning, finishing the inning. This time Mohammed coming in for the final over. And he's going to try and take out the wicket. All the most informed batter currently, Egosa. Stepped out of the wicket line and couldn't meet that ball. That first ball is dotted, much to the pleasing all the fielding as he currently stands. They're giving out way too many runs. They're at least 10 runs per over. And now this is the time that they need it mediated.
You see, the interesting part of it is I've been watching it before I even came on the mics. Egosa plays more with the bottom hand. That is why Taiwo Mohammed, being experienced as he is, has taken off the pace of the ball and is allowing the swing of the ball to just beat the bat of Egosa. If only Egosa can play with the top hand of his bat, he will be able to drive those balls down the line to get those singles that they need. If he misses the third one, then he's going to put himself under pressure. I just said it. The moment Taiwo Mohammed, vastly experienced opening bowler for the country, he knows what he's doing. He has studied Egosa, plays with the bottom hand. He has both 3 balls quietly swinging outside the off-stump line, forcing Egosa to be trying to force the ball towards the leg side. All Egosa needs to do is just play those covers drives and just hit it straight down towards extra covers. You just get the runs and get the ball taken. Foot not getting into the line of the ball. He's missing the balls at this point in time. Taiwo Mohammed will be happy with himself. Maybe that's the information he has been passing to the bowlers. Just take the pace off the ball, swing the ball, and use your wrist to bowl the ball. And that you could see his run-up has been reduced. And he's not bowling it with too much power. All he's doing is just swinging the ball. That is the experience you want. Fifth ball missed again, playing still with the bottom hand. This is where you see experience come into play. It's not just about hitting with the pace of the ball. It's about knowing what the bowler is doing. It's about knowing how the batter is thinking. And at this point in time, if Taiwo Mohammed gets a dot ball here, this will be the first maiden in this over.
And that is a wicket of the last ball of the first inning. Finally, was able to get a run of the final over of Taiwo Mohammed as the Middlebelt Tiger registered 85 on the board, which means that if they want to get their first win, the Elephants will need 86 in the limited, in the reduced overs.
You know, the interesting part of it, Peter, is the fact that Taiwo Mohammed was very sensitive enough to know that the very last 6 balls he was going to bowl, he was going to take the pace off. He knew that Egosa was playing with the pace of the balls every time the bowler come to bowl. So all he needed to do was take the pace off of the balls and ensure that Egosa doesn't have any reply on that. Peter, quickly to you, the match summaries.
Thank you very much for that. Only 1-6 was given out. Only 1-6 was scored in this reduced format, but it certainly was an interesting run of fixture. But if you look quickly at the match summary, you'll see that Egosa was able to register 40 of 30 balls faced. Solomon Chilemaya 15 off 9 after that late explosion. Suleiman Rusewe 2 quick falls, but he couldn't stay there long enough as he went out in the first over. But Taiwo Mohammed with a very fantastic end to the second over after bowling those 5 dot balls. As he took 1 wicket off 12 balls for 12 runs in 2 overs. Karim Gafar also 1 wicket, giving out 20 runs in 2 overs. And Mohamed Ridwani with 14 runs he was given, taking 1 wicket as well after 2 overs.
You know, the interesting part of it is the umpires just signaled that they have 3 minutes of play. So they're trying to technically take everyone's back. The interesting part is this. Taiwo Mohammed bowled just 2 overs, took 1 wicket and had 12 runs. But this man, Egosa Destiny, 40 off 30 balls. I am sure if Taiwo Mohammed had come with his pace, he probably would have had his 50. But as experienced and versatile as it is, to me, the peak point of this innings was that last 6 balls that was bowled by the captain, Taiwo Mohammed. He knew the Egosa was playing more with the bottom hand. Most of the bowlers who bowled before them weren't quite quick enough to understand that. And the moment Taiwo Mohammed brought himself in to bowl the last 6 overs, you could see it was only 1 run, which resulted in a wicket in that particular innings. But let's give it a take. What will be the strategy if you happen to be a coach? What will be the strategy you would tell your batting side to apply?
Well, the same as the Middlebelt Tigers started off in the first inning, exploit those chances. There were good balls, and there were balls outside of the wicket, which the Middlebelt Tigers took advantage of, finding that gap in those first 2.4 overs of the power play. And if the Elephants can't find that space and get those much needed boundaries as the game progresses, the runs needed will be eased off their backs.
You know, the interesting part of it is it's just a run per ball. You just need to keep hitting the balls. Make sure you keep the ball taken. If you see the good balls, try and look for a single with it. If you see the bad ball, you need to punish the bad ball immediately. Not punishing the bad ball and getting bowled or getting caught or getting out. You need to punish the bad ball when it really matters most. And the fielders are getting back onto the field, as we will be quickly taking back into the second innings of this game. And just like we said, it is 86 runs needed in 9 overs. So it's technically not going to be a tall order, but it would definitely be a game in our hands.
The umpires are in, the fielding sides are placed, and we await the batting side unchanged batting order as Ramon Ali and Paul Palm will still open the strike for the Eastern Elephants. The side who elected to field first have done that, and it's time for the second phase of the game, and now they have to come and chase what the Tigers already set first. Seems Ramon will start on strike this time around. Previously, not surprised to see that it is Ogbo Unity opening the bowling for the side. Played off the front foot. But there's a fielder in place. Would have loved to run to, but the opportunity wasn't given. This time, the Tigers start off with a much more tighter field setting against the Elephants, not wanting to give those loose spaces that they were afforded. They've seen what they can do. They've seen the opportunities that come from the opportunity opening the bowling. Bowling is first inning for the Middlebelt Tigers. Bold shots played in the air. Is that a boundary? Yes, it is. Not surprised. It is Paul Palm we're talking about. Paul Palm started off in this similar fashion against one of Nigeria's finest, Peter Aho, and Ogbo Unity is another victim of his batting prowess. Ogbo Unity didn't play in the last game, wasn't available, but today he is there, sticking the ball first, and tasted his first boundary in the Nigerian Super League. This time put him on a chokehold, but still managed to find enough space to direct the ball into, and we had one more run to the board. Only two fielders have been placed outside as it stands, and there is one at third man and another at the extra covers. Off the front foot, above the infielder, and that is two boundaries in the first over for the Elephants. Ramon Ali replicating Paul Palm's off the front foot, good start. Above the infielder,
Got himself off the
and
strike
that is
for Paul
two
Palm.
boundary, who played the boundary of the next to get himself off the strike, and Alia Ramon compliments that in his own boundary. 10 runs they've registered very, very quickly of the first 5 balls, or the first 4 balls. They didn't travel too far, but that distance was enough for Paul Palm to call for a single. And Ali Ramon is over strike. One more ball for the end of the first over. That was a catch opportunity, but Chilemaya Solomon has given an extra life to Paul Palm, who gets himself off a strike. And 12 runs, they will finish the first over with. Look at that opportunity again. It was edged, and it was in the gloves. It was there for the taking, and didn't get it. And Ali Ramon calls for that run opportunity, and they scared, they survived, and they run, they gather. 12 at the end of the first over, no wickets lost. Egusa taking the ball and will be coming from the Court of Appeal end. That shuffle didn't give him enough time to wait for that ball. If he had decided to stay in, probably would have met that ball and sent it to the leg side. But he had already closed the gap too soon and didn't have enough time to deal with that ball appropriately. Gosa will need to make correction, keep the ball on the offside. There isn't any outfielder on the leg side, and it's still same as before. A third man and the covers. Both shots and dealt with. The maximum for the Eastern Elephants, and it's Ramon Ali who will get that credit. It's still same as before. A third man and the covers. And you can tell just how much it means to the Eastern Elephants. Dealt with. And now the Tigers can finally taste pressure. And any more runs that is conceded. Looking for that catch with the umpire, that caught which the umpire doesn't acknowledge. Ali Ramon felt that should have been an extra. And the umpire signals for a wide. Any more runs that is conceded. Very, very short. Ali Ramon didn't make contact, which they felt he did. Ball straight up, but to the infielder, they will still settle for one. The runs are plummeting. 20 ball advantage for the Tigers. But any more boundary could see that runs plummet even faster and reduce the ball advantage. Cuts it into the gap and gets himself one more run. Right now it looks like tempo and momentum keep shifting, but the Eastern Elephants have this game at their hands, giving the fantastic end to the first inning by the captain. A short ball, big bounce. Ali Ramon feeling that ball could have been an extra, which the umpire very much disagrees with, and I do also agree with the umpire as regards to that ball. And then to the second over, 22 is what sits on the board. 64 is what is needed of the next 43, which means that the Tigers have a 21 ball advantage. And the Eastern Elephants will need to find the gap, as they've done so in consecutive overs. 3 boundaries so far with 2 fours and 1 maximum. 14 runs have been scored via the boundary ropes. and 8 runs have been successfully completed between the stumps. But that will not be enough, as they will need to move quicker with the feet. Number 9. That was a miscalculation in ball, and the umpire has scored a gosa to come and bowl his final ball of that second over. A wide was bowled in the over. I think the umpire has failed to recognize that and had probably miscalculated and included that in number of balls bowled. And now we have to come and re-bowl the last ball, the proper last ball of the second over. Gives the Eastern Elephant another chance to add more runs to the board and reduce the runs deficit. Still same mode, and here's a dot ball of the last ball. And this time it is a 22 ball advantage for the Tigers. Elephants, more work to do. And proper end to the second over this time. And it is still 22 on the board for no wickets lost. And I will introduce him again, Abolari Abdul Rashid, aka Bolt, coming from the pavilion end to bowl. Paul Pan being one of the most active batters for the Eastern Elephants. Against the informed Abdul Rashid. Certainly there wasn't any contact there, and even the umpire confirms that. It isn't an out. The loud appeal shuts down in vain, as no run was considered. Is not the third consecutive dot ball, as they are looking to chase these runs and get to the finish line even faster. Mind you, the Elephants cannot afford to lose a game today, as any more loss will see them miss out on a chance into the playoffs round, which they cannot afford to let happen. Already on a low score, on a low run rate, after narrowly losing on the second match day of the tournament against the Central Eagles, losing by 1 run. They cannot afford to lose by that narrow margin again today. If there is any chance at winning, it is now, and they will have to take it. Only 4 teams of 6 can get into the playoff rounds. Only 2 can get into the finals, and only 1 can brag of that first edition win and be the first team to win the Nigerian Super League. If they want to give themselves one chance, they will have to do better. And that was a chance that they've taken. Paul Palm took himself off strike. Ramon Ali beautifully playing a cover drive and finding that gap into that empty field, sweating just one more ball until the field can finally expand for the middle belt Tigers. It is 2.4 for the power play given the reduced over format. Hit out on the deck and was punished. A short ball that will go beyond the ropes for a boundary. 10 runs of the last 2 balls, 11 of the last 3. Abolari Abdul Rashid is the latest victim of Ramon Ali's big hitting abilities. The runs per ball now significantly reduced of the last 2 balls. Hit out on the deck and was punished. A short ball That will
For
go
Ramon Ali
beyond and the Eastern Elephants. 33 is what it sits at. End of power play. And now the field can expand, but the damage has already been done. And it is currently sitting at 53 of the next 38 balls. Goes into the open field. As that ball, will it race to the boundary ropes? No, it doesn't. But it was a beautiful shot to watch by Ramon Ali. Rams it way above the wicket keeper, giving himself and the team that chance of running in between the wickets. That is 14 runs of the last 4 deliveries. An expensive over for Ramon Ali. An expensive over for Abdul Rashid Abolarin, who was given the 3rd over to bowl. Played off the front foot, but there was a few that end up extra cover region. As 1 run is what they had off that last ball. 16 in total in the 3rd over. And the current score for the Eastern Elephants sits at 37 and haven't lost the wicket in 3 overs completed. 49 is not what's needed of the next 36 balls. 13 ball advantage for the Middlebelt Tigers. It is still not far out of reach for the Eastern Elephants, as they will be looking for their first 2 points to join on the top half of the table should a win be gotten in this fixture. For the first time in the inning, a spin bowler has been employed. Undubudim coming in from the Court of Appeal end to Paul Palm. Paul Palm couldn't deal with that ball, and it is the first dot we've seen in a while. Plays off the back foot, and the big chase he gave from the extra covers. As he covers up for the backward point and stops any extra run from being berted. 1 more run they add. 2 runs, my corrections, they add off that ball. And the runs required seems to be getting closer within reach, as we might get a ball versus runs balance. Running in between the wickets, they're doing that very, very quickly. Ramon Ali making that necessary call. And the field expansion, as we see, there is a deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, and extra covers, as long as a deep square leg. No build up behind the batter, behind the wicket keeper is outside of the 30-yard. Played back to the bowler. The runs are slowed down since the spin bowler was taken. Still have to see Suleiman take up the ball to bowl, and it is the first wicket. Ramon Ali shuffles out and is made to regret that decision as the quick hands of Solomon Chilimanya sees the wickets, the very first wicket of the Eastern Elephants getting dislodged. A beautiful partnership, all 40, has been broken. Puts that ball out of his reach. Undubudim Izuchuku slants the ball bat way too low as that first bounce spins above the shot offered, and Ramon Ali will walk back to the stands, having wasted his own fair share of runs, and income will be Femi Oresonwo. For The Eastern Elephants taking his guard to last ball. The runs have significantly slowed down. 3 runs so far. They didn't enjoy a first batting inning in the previous game. We're reaching only 4 runs. We need to put more. And is able to open the batting. One run toss to 2 as we come to the end of the 4th over. 42 on the board. Only 1 wicket taken. 46 is not what's required of the next 30. 45, 44 is not what's needed of the next 30 deliveries. 14 ball advantage, but it's not far-fetched, and it's not beyond possible for the Eastern Elephants, who are desperate for their first win, and to also give them that chance, that fighting chance, going forward in this tournament. Not surprised to see Suleiman take the ball coming from the pavilion end. Put it outside off. As though that was a big stretch by Paul Palm. Could have let that ball go and eaten up that extra. But bought that ball instead and couldn't get a run off it. A waste of the first ball by the batting side. And Suleiman will make amends. Both straighter and Tabolari. And this time they'll take a run off that ball. A run instigated by Paul Palm, getting himself off strike, and Femi Oresowo, who has been able to register 2 runs in the previous over. We look to add to that. Ball straight to him and return back to the bowler. Suleiman Rusewe taking charge. The spinners will look to reduce this big scoring. One more run, 2 runs in total, and it's over. 2 balls, 2 runs, 2 dots, 4 balls, both 2 more balls. And the field setting stays the same. Still no fielder outside with 30 yards behind the wicket keeper. Tries to go big. And this time, that late edge sees that ball travel beyond the wicket keeper and reaches the boundary ropes. 4 runs, not the intended direction, but they will take it. As that it will be 4 more runs for the batting side. In the replay, that late nick at the back of the bat. And that decision to not have an outfielder, that third man in that region, is to the batting side favor. Tries to play all the back foot. Will it successfully? They do successfully complete 1 run to end the 5th over. 4 more overs of play will be remaining. 49 is on the board. And 1 wicket is what is taken. 37 is not what's required of the next 24 balls. A 13 ball advantage. But along with that remain, still many wickets at hand and more chances to go all out as the game progresses. The runs have been coming steady for the Eastern Elephants and the Middle Belt Tigers. We want to have this win. 1 more win could see them seal their spot in the playoff rounds, and every team wants to get there as quickly as possible. A quick start to the 6th over by Undubudim. Paul Palm couldn't maximize that chance, wanted to go big. A big escape. Wasn't any shot there, but definitely wasn't a wicket either. Another trap set by Undubudim. Another wicket set. And 4. It is the second opener, the second wicket in that goes out. Paul Palm ventures out, trying to meet that ball off the first bounce, as that backfires and Paul Pan will lose the wicket. The second wicket in similar fashion to the first. Back to back. It is a reincarnation of the first wicket. Put it outside of his reach. They will celebrate that wicket fall. And in comes the man who almost took the team, crossed the finish line in the last game, only losing his wicket off the 19.5th ball of the second inning against the Central Eagles after deciding to go for 2 runs that backfired, as his replacement couldn't get that much needed run to either win the game or tie it into a super over. But regardless of that problem, Victor Ikoli is in now and will look to help the team cross the finish line with the bat. Couldn't get a run off that first ball under Budim, off to a fine start, already getting 2 wickets to his name and giving out only 5 runs in 9 balls bowled. 10th ball, and they will settle for that run. Big call, desperate moment for the Eastern Elephants. Too many dot balls already, and Femi Oresonwo calls for that much needed run and sent himself on strike. 3 of 3, 100% strike rate for the batter, Femi Oresonwo. Wants to go big and isn't successful. And Chile Maya not taking chances at every point in time will go for those bills. And it is the last ball of the 6th over, which means that 3 more overs will go in play, and Femi Oriso will start the next over on strike after nicking that ball, but not enough power behind it. It is an end to the 6th over. 51 is what sits on the board after 6 overs completed for 2 wickets taken, 35 of the next 18 balls. Very fantastic end to the over by Undubudim for this side. And immediately we'll continue from the pavilion end. Suleiman Rusewe, who didn't give out much runs with the ball. The over is playing out very quickly, it appears. Tries to go big. Will it go to the boundary ropes? Stop. As they will not be giving out those opportunities that the batting side gave out in the first inning. As they settle for 2 runs on the board, the balls are seriously reducing and the needed runs are still on the high. 33 of 17, it appears. Plays off the back foot, but there's a few that in the deep to cover. The boundaries are not coming, but certainly the ball is ticking, and it's ticking twice as fast as they are successfully running 2 runs in between the wickets, completing doubles on 2 occasions in this over. 2 runs, 2 balls bowled, 4 runs given, 4 runs taken. My corrections, 31 now needed, 16 balls remaining. Suleiman Rusewe will need to come on that, and we look to come on that for the Middlebelt Tigers. Doesn't come off the bat, but certainly is in space, and this time it is 4 more runs as the wicketkeeper completely misses that, and the chasing fielder couldn't do much. The field has already been maximized, and the front end, as there's no outfielder behind the wicketkeeper. And on 2 separate occasions in Suleiman's over, they've gotten runs off of that. Off the back foot, calls for 2, it does. Victor Ekpoli, still off the strike, hasn't faced 1 ball yet. In this over, still on off strike, as Femi Oriso has been doing all of that, and for the first time might actually face a ball, and he will be facing the final ball of the 7th over. 24 runs is needed of the next 13 balls. Currently sitting at an 11 ball advantage. Going around the wicket. Up in the air. Is that a catch? No, it is not. And instead, it is even a boundary. The fielder couldn't put himself in the right spot. Ogbo Unity should have been under that ball. Should have been a catch. And not only did he miss that catch, but he gave out 4 more runs for the batting side. And Victor Ikoli, the beneficiary of that fielding error. And then to the 7th over, it is 66 for 2. And there you look at that ball again. Hooked towards the leg side. Ogbo Unity was under it and somehow missed that ball and gave that big 4. 20 runs is not what's needed of the next 12 balls. It is now below double figures of ball advantage for the Middle Belt Tigers, as they just have an 8 ball advantage, which means that any more boundary could see that ball advantage reduce significantly. And we're not even talking about the 2 runs that the Eastern Elephants have competed on several occasions. Look at that big ball again. That was that big opportunity. It felt like a catch. Ogbo Unity felt like he was underneath it. And not only did he miss it, but 4 runs was also added to the scores for the Eastern Elephants. Back to pace bowling. And who else to take up the ball if not Egosa? Did his fair share with the bat. Gave out only 10 runs in his first bowling over. Coming to bowl his second. Bowl shot. And it's sent in the air. And it is a catch. Femi Orisonwu will go out. Having only registered 14 on the board of 10 balls. And now the first ball of the 8th over. Desperation is starting to set in for the Eastern Elephants. They know that the advantage is there, but the balls are no longer as much. That ball was short off the top end of the bat and doesn't go beyond the 30-yard circle. A big advantage for the bowler there. Should have done better with the delivery. But the batter failed to capitalize on that short ball. And the fielding side can heave a sign of relief. Already they've gotten 3 wickets. The Eastern Elephants, the captain, conceding only 1 run of the final over. And the person he restricted to just 1 run, the same person who will be bowling to him, Taiwo Mohammed, now both at opposite ends. Taiwo now with the bat, Egosa with the ball. One will come out dominant, and it's either Egosa reenacts the final over Taiwo at both to him, or Taiwo will continue from the fine start he had finished off in the first over, opens the wicket, and doesn't get that contact as there's a fielder in place and he will only get himself off the strike. Victor Ikoli is still there, hasn't ticked yet, as he's only registered 5 runs off 3 balls faced, but he's now on strike. If there's any time the team does need him, it is now. 19 of the next 10 balls. This game will probably or likely go down the wire similar to the first. The Middle Belt Tigers at the advantage as it looks, but just one boundary could reshape the entire momentum and change the side of the table. Stands tall, but doesn't make contact. There was no footwork by Victor Ekpoli. And already it is back into double figure ball advantage for the Middlebelt Tigers. That short bounce was too much to deal with. Victor Ekpoli with another expectations was a big surprise there. Already double figure ball advantage now. It is now 19 of the next 9 balls. Still very much achievable with a couple boundaries, but Egosa is not giving that chance. Off the back foot, but there's a fielder in place. We don't go for 2. Not a single chance is there, as the fielder very, very fast in recovering that ball and killing any extra hopes that the Eastern Elephant might have in adding any more runs to the board. 18 of 8. Eastern Elephant, very, very fond of giving us thriller matches. Driven down, will they go for 2? It will be 2. Will they make it 1 more? They will just have to settle for 2. And now the ball is less than 10 ball advantage for the Middlebelt Tigers after that double being completed. The runs now sit at 16 of 7. Last ball of the 8th over, already into the penalty mate over. Egosa doing fantastic, hasn't given out a boundary in this over. Already giving out 4 runs, 1 more ball, and 1 more over. Taiwo goes big. Is there anyone under it? Yes, there is. And it ends in a catch in the deep. Beautifully covered by the long on fielder as he raced all the way down there and catching that rope, catching that ball close to the ropes. Desperation set in, and the Middlebelt Tigers are taking advantage of that tension. Momentum is on their side as it sits. Wanted to go big and try and bring that ball and run parity as close as possible. But it is the fielding side who have the last laugh. Already an end to the 8th over. Beautiful end to the 8th over for Egosa and the Eastern Elephants. It is 70 that sits on the board for 4, which means that what they will need now is 16 of 6 balls. And look at that catch again. The shot was there, the contact was there, but the contact point was the deciding factor. And in comes Abdurrahman Jimo. This is the most important part of the inning for the Eastern Elephants. Victor Okpoli helped take the game down the wire in the previous game against the Central Eagles. Now we need to do the same, and this time going against the Middlebelt Tigers. Abolari Abdulrashid, 15 runs in his previous over. We look to do better as this is the deciding factor. Comes much, much fuller. And this time they'll settle for 1. Will they take 2? No, they would not. 5 balls is what is remaining. 15 is what is needed. Still at the advantage, the Middlebelt Tigers. Only one team has lost 2 games today, and that is the West, 2 games before now, and that is the Western Dolphins, which means that they will need to win all 3 to give themselves a chance of qualifying for the knockout rounds. Have his bat square cut it as they will register 2 runs. 4 balls remaining, 13 runs needed. 9 ball advantage. Abolari Abdulrashid with a better comeback, but it's still 4 more balls. And there's still a lot of advantage for the batting side as it stands. A maximum or 2 fours could shape this whole inning. And that will be the first 4, as that late edge has seen that run reduce significantly for the Eastern Elephants. Now 9 off 3, 6-ball advantage. Jimo still on strike. You look at that ball, that back edge. Puts it beyond the reach of Suleiman Chilemaya. As it goes out, the fielder at the third man could only escort that ball beyond the ropes. 3 more balls, 9 more runs. This game could go and stretch down to the very end. Remember, what they need is 86, and what they are behind is just 9 off. Goes big, but it's in the air. Is that a catch? Yes, it is. Would have been a fumble, but a beautiful backup by Awodele Shina, coming in and assisting that infielder. Would have been a drop catch if he had not been there. But regardless, the team will celebrate another wicket fall, and now it is 9 of the next 2 balls. They cannot believe it. The Eastern Elephants cannot believe it. Jimo wanted to continue that momentum of that 4. And if you look at it, that was a fumble. That was a very serious fumble in that infield. As Awodele Shino, very intelligent way to back up and take that much needed catch for the Middlebelt Tigers. The game looks to be finishing very beautifully for the Middlebelt Tigers. 2 more balls, 9 runs needed. If there is no boundary or any run off this ball, what Rashid will need to do is just put that ball in front. They cannot afford to give out any more runs, but the batter who is in is Abdul Karim Ghaffar. Doesn't make contact, and now this game looks out of stretch. The only way that they can have another chance right now is if Abolari Abdul Rashid gives an extra and gives them a lifeline. Other than that, a legal delivery is still a loss, regardless of whatever the outcome of the ball is. Goes big, but is that enough? It doesn't matter at this point. 6 runs wasn't enough for Abdul Karim and the Eastern Elephants, as they still lose this game by a narrow margin. 3 runs was what they lost by. They lost by 2 runs. They needed 2 runs. They needed 3 runs to win this game, losing by 2 runs, as they only needed 3 more runs. If there was an extra ball, a big win for the mighty Middlebelt Tigers. Back-to-back wins, as they are now on top of the table ahead of today's second game between the Northern Lions and the Central Eagles. But for now, the Middlebelt Tigers stay on top. Quickly at the match summary, it is Egosa Destiny with 40 of 30 balls faced, Suleiman Chimoya with 15 of 9, and Suleiman Rusebe registering 9 of 4. Taiwo Mohammed, Ghaffar, and Mohammed Ridwan with 1 wicket apiece, with 2 overs completed. And in the Eastern Elephant is Ramon Ali with 26, Paul Palm 19 of 17, and Femi only able to add 14 before getting caught out in the inner ring. Agosa with 2 wickets, Undubudin with 2 wickets, and Olari Abdul Rashid getting that much needed wicket for the team. And we will see you at the post-match presentation as we speak with the 2 captains, and also present the Man of the Match award to the best performing player in today's encounter.
Hello, hello, hello. We're here for the post-match live at TBS Cricket Over.
First game of match day 3 has been completed. Despite the rain interruptions, we're still able to have a thrilling game between the Middle Belt Tigers and the Eastern Elephants. Very tough game, very tight game again by the Eastern Elephant, taking the game all the way to the very end and losing narrowly. But first, we're going to call the captain of the losing side for today, the Eastern Elephant, Taiwo Mohammed. Top flock for the second time in a row, Taiwo Mohammed. Do you feel like the reduced over interrupted your original plans into the game?
I mean, he didn't interrupt it. We just didn't execute our plans, right? In the power play, we did well. In the middle overs, that's where we lost it, and we couldn't utilize the ending of the overs.
There are a lot of positive to take from your team in the first game and in this game. Do you think that there are any more changes or any more corrections that they can be done with the main 3 more games that you have at hand?
I mean, like it's obvious. Whether we're bowling first, we always let them lose, right? We know the strength of our team and we know what we're capable of doing, right? We always let them lose and we allow them get a lot of runs and we give them too much extras. So if we can cut those extras down and probably take our catches, I'm sure we'll win the rest of the games.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, Taiwo Mohammed. And very quickly, we are going to call in the captain of the winning side, winning the back-to-back games. It is Suleiman Rusewi. Congratulations, Suleiman Rusewi. Back-to-back wins for your team, winning very, very narrowly against this Eastern Elephant side. Is there any part of the game that impressed you the most? Is it the chasing or the defending?
I think the defending also, I think 86 is a good score, but playing 9 overs and we didn't start earlier on with the bowling, and I think good to see guys bringing it back towards the tail ending of the game.
After the reduced over, is there any way, did it affect your plans or was there any new determination that popped up for your team?
I think rain in the morning. I think we've started doing our calculation. Definitely, we know that we are going to have reduce of over, but just a bit, you know, in our way because we felt maybe we were going to play maybe 15 overs or 12 overs. But good to see us playing 9 overs and good to see you guys up to the task.
Any standout performances today that you like to acknowledge in your team?
Earlier on, good to see Solomon handling the batting earlier on and Gusa, as it always does, back to back play of the match. Good to see guys getting up to the task.
Thank you very much. And we're going to acknowledge the best performing player, back-to-back performance by Agedo Egosa, coming in when the team needs him the most, registering 40 runs off 30 balls faced, and in the bowling inning, picked up 2 wickets in 2 overs bowls and only giving out 14 runs. And who will be presenting the award, if not Olasukomi, for Egosa Agedo? Egosa, congratulations on your back-to-back man of the match performance. You certainly set the standards of what an elite competition should be like. How do you feel about your performance as well as your team's?
I feel excited for my performance, but I think it's team performance that have got me this for the second time. Kudos to the team. They fought hard, they batted well, fielded very well. So I will give it to my team this time around.
Yeah, we really do appreciate what you're doing for the team as well as for this competition. Your team has been one of the most exciting teams in this competition. Are there any other players that you want to acknowledge in your teams for their performances?
Our skipper has been doing well in terms of managing the field. 2 of our top guys, David Ankwa, Elijah, they are not around, so we've really been trying to play without them, and I think we have been doing fine so far, and I'll give it to the skipper of the team.
Thank you very much, Egosa. We're looking for more better performances and more man of the match award performances from you going forward. Thank you very much. And that is it for the post-match presentation of the first match between the Middle Belt Tigers and the Eastern Elephants. We will be going in shortly for the second game between the Northern Lions and the Central Eagles. Thank you very much.